my slide deck with a intro screen here.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay, reopen this screen so I can see all your faces in the chat. And we will get started. And since it's a smaller group, we'll probably have a lot of time for questions at the end. But you can also put questions in the chat as you're thinking of them, and we will try to get to everybody and maybe do some special troubleshooting depending on how it goes. First, I want to do some introductions. I am Melanie DeCola. I am the director of AIA's Climate Action Pledge programs, which also includes the Materials Pledge. A little plug here that reporting season for Materials Pledge is also open. Does not end until the end of May, so you've got time. So do your 2030 first, and then think about Materials Pledge. And I've been at AIA a little over 5 years now, but in the climate action team for a little over 6 months. Before that was in research. And we've got Ina on the line and some working group members as well. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Hi folks, my name's Ina Bakioki. I use she, her pronouns. I have been with AI for about 3.5 years now and been working specifically on 2030 and Materials Pledge the past 2 years. You'll recognize my infamous long last name from all the email reminders that I send you to report your data by March 31st. Jesse?
Hi all, Jesse Walton here at Malum Architects, sunny Seattle, Washington. And we've been reporting for 13 years. I'm the co-chair of the 2030 working group on the DDX committee with Corey. So intimately familiar, especially with bulk upload. If there are any questions about that, happy to answer them.
Well, it's me, the Corey Duggan. I work for TLC Engineering Solutions on the 2030 working group and DDX subgroup, as well as involved in MEP 2040. TLC's been reporting for, I want to say 13 as well. I was going to go look at where my badge was, but I think this will be our 13th year. So happy to help anybody or any questions.
Nice. So we got some experts on the line. I see some other folks who've been part of our DDX group as well. Hopefully you all can jump in and answer some questions as we go through this. Wanted to note that this is our second to last session for 2030 specific questions. We'll also have a session on the 26th of March. Kind of bring your questions, bring your problems, let us know what you're struggling with, and we will get you hopefully set before the deadline on March 31st. All right. Reminder, there's a few different ways to input your data into DDX. We won't be going through all these methods, but we may do a bulk upload and submission when we get to the demo portion, but you can directly input your data into the DDX. You can do a bulk upload via spreadsheet, or you can use energy modeling to connect in and add in data. This is what the DDX looks like. Just basic overview. I'll show you when we get to the demo portion where to start, where things are, and then we'll jump into the actual submission. This is essentially what it looks like when you get to the step of actually hitting submit. And we'll go through this in detail, but just so you get a sense of what kind of information is on that page before you actually go ahead and submit. And a note, I brought this up in one of the last sessions or the bulk import session. If you do not get a confirmation email after you hit submit, let us know, because it's most likely that your data did not get submitted, did not go into the system, and you will not be counted for the year. But we can help figure out why and troubleshoot and make sure everything is looking good in your portfolio. A reminder, we have a very robust help section on the kind of wiki pages, and you can find information about submitting, about importing, about managing projects, about updates made in the last year, new energy codes. You can download a whole bulk import guide from here, and we can put direct links in the chat. This is also where you register for the next session. This is what the Submit Your Portfolio page looks like on the wiki page, just to give you a sense. And you can also link out to our reports here. And there's some bulk upload process links as well. And down here is a little RY24 Open Office Hour schedule. This is where you'll go to register, and also for materials pledge. Reminder, we also have a 2030 peer-to-peer network. This is similar to a KC Knowledge Community setup. If you're part of one of those, on our Community Hub platform, you can go in, ask questions, hopefully get them answered depending on the complexity. We also have a direct email box, which is the 2030 commitment at aia.org. If you think your question may be specific to staff or some issue that you're seeing with the DDX, please do email us and let us know. And I think finally, this might be the last one. We have a YouTube page where all these sessions are being recorded and uploaded, including a new materials pledge playlist. So go check those out. We are also adding in, we had an Autodesk webinar last week. If you missed that one, you can go onto our YouTube, check it out. Starting to open this up a little bit to chapters who are doing really good workshops on DDX, and making sure that you guys have all the information you might need to successfully report. All right, so that concludes the slide portion. Stop sharing, I will close out. And I'm going to switch over and start sharing the actual DDX. Actually, I'm going to share screen too. All right. So you should now be seeing the DDX interface, yes? Okay, cool. All right, so this is what it looks like when you first log in to your account, and you can see all your projects. This is the portfolio page specifically. Just want to quickly call out that over on the company page tab is where you do your bulk import right here, the little import button. And then when you hit that, you can also download the latest sample files. And if you're having issues with bulk upload, we've seen this a few times this cycle, you might want to take a look at the latest Excel sheet, make sure your fields are matching what's in this latest one. That's one of the best ways to troubleshoot. But today we are going to go over to the Submit tab. And they're basically just a few steps for submitting. Also noting here, some snapshots on your data are going to show up in the Reports tab. We can take a look at that. We can also talk about the Research tab as well if there are questions about that. But we're going to jump into reporting for this year, or for last year, reporting year 2024, looking at the previous year, and noted here December 31st of the preceding year. And since I've already done a few tests, you will get this little warning here. It's not even really a warning. It's just letting you know that you've already submitted. It will not impact anything you're doing. It's just letting you know. I'm going to hit continue. And I've been noticing it takes a few seconds to do this. Yep, there we go. So if you hit it twice, sometimes it'll take you past the screen. I was figuring that out earlier today when I was testing this out. So give it a few seconds before you double hit continue because it will just take you on to the next page and you will not see this page of your lovely projects. So this is the overview of everything that's in our kind of portfolio for reporting year 2024. So a good practice is to look through this list and uncheck anything that's considered a test. You can also uncheck things that are considered canceled. Those may be showing up. There's some active, there's some complete, there's some on holds, there's some canceled. You can uncheck those. This is really your stage to kind of go through and make sure you're submitting everything you would like to. And note that there's, you can see more of your projects if you want to change this to 50 or 100. You can also scroll through various pages. And down at the bottom here, anything with an asterisk is required. So you do want to check this first box and say this confirms the snapshot reflects your company's full design portfolio for 2024. And then if you would like to give us some extra data or be even more transparent with your data, you allow AI to publish or share your company's PEUI reduction publicly, and we will check in with you before doing so. But this is not a requirement. This is an optional add-on. So I'm going to just hit continue here. And this is what you should get when you've successfully submitted your portfolio. And this will trigger the automatic email to come into your account with your badge and a little overview of what you submitted. Again, if you do not get that email, let us know and we will help you troubleshoot. So I'm going to pause here to see if there are any questions before we get into kind of bulk reporting or anything more specific. Anything came in the chat? Looks like just introductions.
I'm sorry, are you covering mostly bulk reporting today?
Mostly submitting.
Okay.
So I can go through bulk importing and submitting as well.
I really wanted to ask about identifying the applicable energy code. I don't know
Okay.
when in this, when today would be most appropriate to ask that question.
Yeah, we can do that now. We're only about 60 minutes in, so we've got time.
Okay, I've got projects with these energy codes that don't match up with the energy codes identified in the DDX. How do I handle that?
So give me an example.
Oh, I mean let's just
Is it a code that's not listed in the dropdown?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
is there a a magic decoder ring to figure out how to fit my square peg into one of these round holes?
Maybe pass it to the resident mechanical engineer here.
Yeah, I was gonna
Corey.
say, does Corey have a magic decoder ring? Probably not.
Definitely maybe.
Um,
Yeah, could you give an example of like, is it like a state code that is specific that's just based on a code that has amendments, or is it something different entirely?
Well, I actually have to go back and pull one up because I don't have it at my fingertips. But
Sure.
the team last year, I had to guess a number of times, and I was way out of my depth.
Yeah. So what I would say is that number one, the code used while it's a metric that we want to track and is good and useful for all that. From a reporting standpoint, it only really affects your results if it's a project that's not energy modeled, right? So if you're still reporting results from an energy model, your percent savings is going to be based on what you input, right? When that code used part really matters if it's a project that is not energy modeled, and then we're trying to calculate the code equivalent savings, and then that's the percent savings reported for the project. So I would be less concerned as long as you're reporting energy model results that than maybe just from a tracking standpoint and trying to correlate that this EUI kind of goes with this code. It's not that big a deal because your savings are going to be based on the energy model results that you input.
Okay, great. So I can worry only in particular about those that are not modeled.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. You still want to get close just for correlation,
Yeah.
but
Right.
Pick one that's close. But in Seattle, we often have newer energy codes, but they're based off the ICC, whatever the current version is. So I'll pick that one,
yeah,
and that'll
that's
get
what I was
you within 1% or 2.
Okay.
Yeah, we heard that Washington State 2018 specifically was not in the DDX. We can add specific codes. We usually wait till after the reporting period is closed, so it's not kind of messing up anybody's or interfering with anybody's reporting. But if you find what codes you're looking for and email them to us, we'll be happy to
Okay.
add them in.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to what Jesse said, I would always look this like if there's a base code that it's based off of and just amended, then choose the base code in there because we
Right.
should have all the IECC base codes at 90.1. So
Okay, fantastic.
And we do also have, trying to remember if the energy codes are directly in the DDX or if they're all in the bulk import guide. We have a list in here. Anyway, it's possible that you can find what you need in the help pages.
Great.
Any other questions, or should we do a bulk import? All right, I'll do a quick demonstration of the bulk import to submission pipeline, noting that my bulk import spreadsheet is very, very sparse, and I may have even cleared out all my errors. So we may not get an error message, but I'll just show you the process anyway. So we go over here to import, which I already showed you. We're going to choose a file. We're going to upload a file. Let's try this error one. I may have already fixed this, but we can try it. All right, it gives you a little preview, shows you that you've added that one. And down here is your portfolio submission selection box. Note you do not have to submit when you do the bulk upload. You can bulk upload as many times as you want. It's just when you get to the final stage, you feel like everything that you need is in the bulk upload, you fixed all your errors and you're ready to submit, that you can go down here and submit for the current reporting year. So it should default to 2024. And again, you get the little warning message here. Then hit import. All right, here we go. So it's showing I have no errors. If you do have errors, you'll get another little table down here. It'll tell you where your errors are. A lot of them have to do with matching up data in your spreadsheet to data that's in the DDX. Specifically, I'm just going to call out right now, or actually, yeah. Yep, so that's the full portfolio submission you're considered having submitted at this stage. I'm going to call out here that your projects should match your studio names that are already defined in the DDX. This is one of the biggest errors. If these don't directly match what's in here, you're going to get an error. We've also seen a few errors with the embodied carbon fields. We changed the designation of those fields a little bit from last year. And if there are issues with that, you can always go back to the bulk import guide and it'll give you the correct fields to put in there. Thanks, Ina, for the energy code link in the chat. All right, those are 2 ways to submit. questions on either of those or general questions you want to hit? Are you seeing any problems with your portfolios? Getting any errors?
Hi, Melanie. This is
Yeah.
Elena. I have a quick question.
Sure.
Not related to submitting, but just when I've been adding new projects, I'm noticing that as I'm entering in the information, the zero tool baseline is not populating. So I'm entering like, oh, I get down to use type, I enter the type and the square footage, and normally at that point, I see a zero tool baseline generate, and I'm getting it's either 0 or NA. I've tried deleting the project. I've tried adding like different use types or more square footage, and I'm not really finding a solution. So just for this project, I went to the Zero Tool website, did the whole, entered all the information, got the baseline, and entered it as a custom baseline. But I'm seeing that issue, and then I'm also seeing trying to remove use types. I can remove it, save it, and then when I go back to the page, it hasn't taken it off. So those are just some technical issues I'm running into.
Is it just one project that you're not seeing the zero tool baselines, or is it all of them?
I've just been trying to enter one specific project.
Okay.
The use type error has been on several projects.
Okay.
Are they different use types or is it like around the same use type?
So the use type so I tried to remove a parking use type. I also tried to remove a small office use type. And then I changed small office to medium office and didn't see a difference there.
Like you didn't see a
So,
difference in the baseline or?
oh, well, yeah, in the baseline or in success in removing it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say the baseline could be the same for small and medium office.
Right.
But.
Right. It was just saying NA 0. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then when I did type in all the information to the Zero Tool website, baseline was like 60 something. So
I'm trying to think what would cause that. I mean, it's not, I know there used to be errors that you would get if your square footage was too small, but that's a different kind of error that you would get.
yeah, so I thought maybe that could be it. It was a 6,600 square foot office, but then when I just had like
Me
six
too.
six in there, I get the like warning of what the
Right.
the
It's a
different amounts are. So I don't think it was that.
Yeah.
Um,
You think this is a zip code problem?
we have other projects in Honolulu, so I don't think
Oh,
so.
you're in Hawaii. That's
Well, I'm in San Francisco, but one of our
Okay.
offices is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we know there are some zip codes in Hawaii that don't show up. So that could be it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
So-
whole slew of new zip codes and stuff that aren't there.
Yeah.
But they
Hawaii
are
and Denver are two places we know that there are some zip code gaps.
okay, but they are in the Zero Tool website. So would you just
Yeah.
say that
Yeah.
we should do it in there and enter it as a custom baseline for Honolulu projects?
You can do it there, or there are some zip codes. So if you could find a zip code where it did populate that was like near
Yeah.
enough to the one that you're in, I would suggest that.
Okay. Okay.
But-
Yeah, I
but-
can try that.
But putting in your own baseline works too.
Okay, great.
And it's
So
not
that
realistically that the zero tool one should be better or more accurate, right? Because it's just that they created a new zip code, right? So it was split from another one.
okay,
Yeah.
so go ahead.
So we went back and forth that just this past year about Hawaii zip codes in particular. And Zero Tool did update their calculations with new zip codes, but we have to then do a mapping exercise or add some zip codes into the DDX. So there's a disconnect there. And
Got it. Okay.
you picked out like the one use case that we have a problem with.
Yeah, I mean, if I had tried to enter more new projects elsewhere, probably would have been able to
Yeah.
identify as something about Hawaii, or Honolulu. Okay, well, that sounds like it's probably the issue there. And then, yeah, for the other one, I'm not sure what's going on. I did have a coworker try it on her end too, and she was removing the use types for other projects, and she was having the same issue as
Okay.
well. We don't have to solve it now, but just wanted
Yeah,
to raise that.
send us an email and we'll look into it.
Okay.
We can always ask our developers to go into a specific account, see if there's an error, but usually we
Oh.
can find a solution.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I see a question in the chat from Daniel Blair. When I look at a project that I have on my company page, I do not see any gross or net. Daniel, are you still on the line? Do you want to unmute?
Yeah, I'm here. I just I saw in the info icon, it says it's looking for a energy model information, but it was a residential project, so there wouldn't be an energy model for it. So I was expecting to see the actual data that's been being tracked on it on the dashboard.
So you're saying that you input like real meter data, like from their electric bills or whatever?
Correct. Yeah, it's my house, so it's basically I'm tracking all the performance. I basically put in a year's worth of data, and it's not showing that data. It's as if it's looking for the energy model. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Just trying to think if I have one where I've put in tracked data to look at to see whether it uses the track data or if it's just looking at the other.
Have you tried to enter it in predicted energy use and or fuel sources? I assume you have like kilowatt hours and therms per year. Have you tried that to see if that works?
I haven't. I had just expected it to be tracking the actual data once it was put in. So, but it looks like that's what it's looking for is the design data.
I think so. That's my
Yeah.
hunch. I only use the DDX for tracking the design data, not actual data. So I'm not as familiar with that portion of the website.
So I should put in the actual data in the design data then.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
And then I just didn't want to mess it up because I'm going to be uploading it over time. But when then we go to submit it, for what's that called? When we submit the report, then it should is that going to damage anything, mess anything up? I guess you guys don't care,
No.
right? Okay.
Are
All
we
right.
including any real track data as part of the data set for by the numbers or anything? Like, I was trying to think what we're using that for. So Ina shake her head. So
We haven't been.
yeah. So that would mean that his track data would show up as data that we would pull that would end up in all of that, which is okay. But
There's a rumor that tracked data might be linked to Energy Star Portfolio Manager in the near future. Not sure who started that rumor. So
yeah,
maybe we can track data with another tool and use design data for the DDX.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think really for tracking your real data, especially if you don't have design data to compare to in the DDX, that I would lean towards putting it, into Portfolio Manager. But
And I'm sorry, I lost the last end of that. What was that? Put it in
Energy
Portfolio
Star
Manager?
Portfolio Manager.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing as well.
Okay, yeah, just I think I don't know if there's any other reason that other than if there is this rumored future link to Portfolio Manager, that really the reason to put in track data into the DDX is to compare to the design data for And so if you don't have any design data, then there's not a whole lot of facility to it.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, yeah,
Thanks.
no problem.
I've got a question in regards to the reports section on the portal. Does that information only show up after you submit your portfolio?
Yes.
Okay. Follow-up question to that is, I just realized there was the ability to have let's see, like multiple office locations or studio locations. Do you know anyone that's used that successfully? Like if you are a part of a firm that has different sectors or studios and they like to separate it that way so that when they actually report their information, they can be aggregated into reports that are specific to like that sector. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I've seen folks who do it by studio location geographically or kind of practice area type. Those are different ways to look at that and breaking that out. In terms of what AIA National is using the data for, we don't, it's anonymous and aggregated. So when we do our reports, we're not looking at that specifically. I don't know if Jesse, you do any of that at your firm, or anyone else on the call who's in a larger firm?
Yeah, I mean, we separate by studio. That's based on some of it's based on like vertical market sector, and then the rest of it's more based on sort of like geographic and who works together, but so that we can track who's doing what, and which studios have the most percent modeled projects or PEUI reduction or all of that, to be able to sort of look at those trends.
And our office is about 50 people in Seattle and 50 people in Portland. So we separated by our office locations. And then if we're curious about how a particular project type is doing, you can also filter by use type. So you already have that ability to look at different project types when you look at your primary use type. So we decided to separate it by our geographic office location.
Yeah, in our office, hi, this is Samira from Stantec. So in our office also, we are separated by different regions in North America, Canada, and US, and sectors, obviously. And we have different regional lead, which each of them are tracking their projects. And at the end, yes, we're looking at like a number of the projects, how many we report this year compared to last year's also. And yeah, so mainly, yeah, we separate them per sectors and region as well in North America.
This is Chris Savage at Olson Kundig. So we have 3 offices, but a lot of our projects are like collaborations between members at different offices. Do we need to report by office, or can we just bundle it all together?
Yeah, it's up to you. If you want to report all together. I was also going to mention that if you're working with collaborators outside of your firm as well, you can invite people to join a project as a collaborator. But we ask that you only submit one project through the main firm that's sort of owning the project. But yeah, it's really up to you what works best for your firm.
Hi, I'm Apurva. I had a question about the bulk upload.
Yeah.
So I've been getting a very generic error about when I'm trying to upload my spreadsheet, which just says something went wrong. Have we gotten rid of the error summary log that would show up that this rows have these many errors and all of that? Because this is really
No.
confusing. I don't know what's wrong in my spreadsheet to make the changes.
Yeah, I know Ina's looking at your spreadsheet right now. We've
Yeah.
been talking about it. No, we haven't gotten rid of the error message. And I just tried bulk uploading. a couple times today and it was working fine. So I suspect it's a issue with your spreadsheet, but we'll get to the bottom of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'll just
Yeah.
note, usually when that specific error comes up, there's something like fundamentally wrong about the spreadsheet. So like either there's missing columns or they're added columns and once you fix that, then it'll run the error that you're speaking of. It'll say rows 7 and 10 don't have the correct decimals, or row 5 doesn't have the correct date formatted. So that's still there. There's just
Okay.
a slightly larger issue with your spreadsheet that we're taking a look at.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll also note, I addressed this on the bulk import session, but we've been seeing errors or specific error with a specific firm that was seeing double project entries after they were doing their bulk upload. So they'd upload something and it would just add a new project instead of overwriting the data that was already in the DDX, which is what's supposed to happen. And we think that it came down to capitalization in a column heading. We tried a bunch of other things and it just kept doing it. So if you have any issues, I would go to the bulk import page and download the latest spreadsheet and just copy and paste into that. It's sort of the cleanest way to do it. But yeah, if you're getting major errors, let us know for sure. Any final questions? We've got about 5 minutes left, or anything you would like to see
I
on
have
DDX?
a question about renewable energy. So it seems like there's two ways to report that. One is just the annual kilowatt hours. And then if you have an energy model, you can put it in the net EUI. Is there any problem with reporting both fields, or is, if you have the net EUI, is the other one being ignored? How does that work?
Pretty sure if you report fuel sources, it'll just automatically calculate your gross and net PUI, so you don't have to report both. I guess it's a good way to check your math using the
Oh,
DDX.
because
If you,
so yes, what we've been doing is we have a lot of residential projects without an energy model, but we do have a PV array and we have the annual production, so we've been putting that in there. So now is that going to be used, subtracted off from the baseline, and then you know, your code reduction, and then subtracting off the PV reported that way?
I think the answer is yes. If you have fuel source data, kilowatt hours per year, and then kilowatt hours renewable, either on site or directly owned, it will do the math and create a gross and net PUI, and then use your energy code as the baseline.
Yeah, but I think he's saying that they don't have the by fuel source. They're just reporting code equivalent. And so if report just through the dedicated renewable energy field, not the one with fuel sources, whether that KWH then would get subtracted off to adjust the percent savings beyond what is code equivalent. I don't
want to share a
Yes,
screen. We
yeah.
can take a look at it. Yeah.
I don't have one open right now, but
Okay.
yeah.
I can quickly do it, I think.
To Jesse's point, I know it works if you do fuel sources, but if you don't have an energy model to report those, then
yeah.
Yeah, so you'll need to hit no where it says predicted energy is. Yeah.
So you're saying in here?
I've been doing it through the bulk upload, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would think that's where it goes, because this is all it was until we were doing fuel sources.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're doing it through bulk upload, those columns that are kilowatt, you're putting in your kilowatt hours, that will upload it to the PEUI section that has your fuel source. So if you hit yes on PEUI and then yes to fuel sources, you'll see where it would put that.
Okay.
That data into.
mind if I jump in here and ask one more question?
Sure.
So I just uploaded all the data into my residential project. Basically put in something as a filler for construction documents phase to say like, oh, this is what we're trying to hit. And then in the CA phase, I put in for the following year, the actual data. And so I'm doing better than what, way below the baseline, which is fantastic. Got a savings at 73%, which is good. So the next question would be, as you guys were just talking about bulk uploads and stuff like that, I was typing, manually entering this information. There's two questions for you. I've been to several sustainability conferences and AIADC events where we're talking about, trying to hit net zero and stuff like that. And for companies like myself, who are small firms, are there tools out there that are available to help small firms to basically track and model this stuff? Like I've looked at Cove Tool as an example, and it's like starting out, you're like at $5,000 to get a subscription to the software. Are there, other than doing Google searches and finding spreadsheets out there, or using Portfolio Manager, which is another tool that I've been using to try to help figure out, well, not really figure out because it's not really modeling, but basically to track data. Are there tools out there that this is question number one. Are there tools out there that people can share that are geared more for small firms?
I mean, if you're using Revit, you could always try to use Insight. Like, I guess I would look for like maybe any sort of plugins or stuff that are built into tools that you're already paying for and have access to.
Okay.
Jesse, what's the rendering thing that Dan Stein likes? That's by Chaos or whatever in Croatia.
Can't think of Energy Plus. Isn't that tied into that?
Well, they've got I think you would still have to buy a license of something, but I know there's a rendering tool that a lot of architects use now. No,
it's not rendering eQuest, but it's free anyway.
No, but yeah, eQuest is another option that's free.
Yes.
But
there you go. Never heard of
it. It's free. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
it was very technical.
But it's kind of, because I used to use eQuest a lot. So at some point, compared to sophisticated software like IES and very expensive, I think it's a good option to use, even though, as Jesse mentioned, it's like technical, but still you can just provide a really high level shoebox modeling really quickly if you don't want it to be really detailed. Even though detailed modeling also comparing to IES, I somehow like it better sometimes. We don't have to work around. However, in IES still I do need it to work around, but eQuest I think would be a good option to go with.
Yeah, well, and they have the wizard in eQuest that's, like you said, really quick to be able to like simple shapes and bop through, and there's a lot of like preset settings. What I was thinking about is Inkscape by Chaos.
Yeah, Inkscape, yeah.
And so they have an IES plugin now that uses their engine to be able to estimate. And I haven't used it. It's new. It looks promising, and I think it has a low lift to get into there. So again, if it's a tool you're already using, but yeah, I mean, certainly, beyond Insight, eQuest would be the go-to free. I mean, Energy Plus is going to be more technical and more difficult. There is some stuff that kind of uses that as the back end. Like you can download Open Studio, use Energy Plus or Symergy. But those do get pretty detailed pretty quickly. Yeah, Design Builder. Again, that's going to be another one that's probably on the price point of like buying an IES license.
I think C-Scale has a free version. but it's very
Yeah,
high
that's what I
level.
thought too.
Do that.
Yeah, and it's operational and embodied carbon, so it will use, I think it uses Zero Tool to get your EY, so it
Yeah.
might be a little simpler to get your baseline EY. And then if you have data like how many kilowatt hours of PV you're creating, you can put that in as well.
Okay, perfect. That's super helpful. Then second question, I feel bad asking all this stuff that's not related to submitting your portfolio.
Okay.
But when you guys were talking about bulk uploads, I missed it because I was typing in the data real quick to see if that would work. So what is actually the bulk upload? What are we bulk uploading?
So it's basically an Excel version of not all the fields in DDX, but most of the fields in DDX, especially the ones that are required for reporting. It's just a different way, and it's specifically, well, anybody can use it, but I know a lot of large firms use it because they can aggregate a bunch of projects into one file and then upload it once and then do a double check before they submit. And it's also a way to kind of share Excel files out to different project teams, have them come back, combine it all into one file, and then upload from there. But it's just a repetition of the fields that are already in DDX.
Okay, and that's for uploading like a project, not the energy use and that kind of thing. It's just basically uploading the project data.
It's everything.
Okay.
But it is a way to upload all the various different fields in the various different categories of a project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Things like
It's-
project name, but also kilowatt hours or EY or embodied carbon.
But it's not the way that you actually submit. So it's a way to get data into the DDX. It's not the way to submit data.
Gotcha. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
And then the
So-
next would obviously be uploading the report or submitting the report, correct?
Not submitting a report, just going over to your submit portfolio tab and submitting that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then you can go to the reports tab and see what you just submitted.
Got it.
So we're a little over time. If you have any questions, do email us at the 2030commitment@aia.org, and we'll get you set up. And we do have one more session coming up. So if you have other questions, register for that. But thanks for joining us. And thanks to Corey and Jesse as well.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
all.
you.
Bye, everybody.